When my daughter sold my house without telling me, I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just signed one paper and walked away. She thought she'd taken everything from me, but what I left her with, she'll never forget. I'm sitting in what used to be my living room. The walls are bare now. There are boxes stacked in corners, and the old grandfather clock, the one Maria wound every Sunday morning, is still ticking. It's the only sound in this empty space. That house wasn't just wood and nails. It was my wife's laughter echoing through the kitchen on Christmas mornings. It was my children's first steps across that worn hardwood floor. It was 37 years of my life poured into every beam, every tile, every windowsill that caught the afternoon sun just right. And when I found out it was gone, sold behind my back, like an old car at auction, I decided to teach my daughter what home truly means. Not with anger, not with bitterness, but with something she'll carry for the rest of her life. I built that house with my own hands. Well, Maria and I built it together, really. She'd hand me tools and tell me when the walls weren't quite straight. She had an eye for things like that, for when something was just slightly off before it became a real problem. We bought the land in 1987. Emma was 3 years old then, barely tall enough to see over the sawhorses I'd set up in what would become our backyard. My son Michael was just a baby, sleeping in his carrier while we measured and planned and dreamed. Maria designed the kitchen herself, drew it out on graph paper at our old apartment's kitchen table, erasing and redrawing until the layout felt right. She wanted windows facing east so she could watch the sunrise while she made coffee. She got her wish. It took us 2 years to finish that house. 2 years of weekends and evenings after work, of scraped knuckles and sore backs, of standing together in the frame of what would become our bedroom, imagining the life we'd build inside these walls. And we did build a life there. Emma learned to ride her bike on that driveway. Michael broke his arm falling out of the oak tree we planted the year he was born. Maria tended her garden every evening, her hands in the soil, her face peaceful in a way I rarely saw anywhere else. When she got sick, she made me promise I'd stay in that house. "Don't you dare sell it and move into some sterile apartment," she said, her voice already thin with illness. "This is where we raised our family. This is where I want you to remember me." I kept that promise. For 12 years after she passed, I kept it. Emma started visiting more often after her mother died. At first, I was grateful. She'd bring groceries, help me with the yard work, sit with me on the porch and talk about her life. She'd married Ryan by then, a financial advisor with smooth manners and expensive suits. He was polite enough, but there was something in his eyes when he looked around my house, like he was appraising it. "Dad, this place is getting to be too much for you," Emma said one evening. We were sitting at the kitchen table, Maria's table, the one we'd refinished together 20 years ago. "You're almost 70. The stairs, the maintenance, the yard. It's a lot." "I manage just fine," I told her. "But do you have to? There are communities now, nice places where everything's taken care of. You could have friends your own age, activities, no worries about the roof leaking or the furnace going out." I looked at her across that table. She had her mother's eyes, but Maria's eyes had never looked at me with quite that expression, part concern, part impatience, like I was a problem that needed solving. "This is my home, Emma." She sighed. "I know, Dad. I'm just saying you should think about your options." Ryan started joining her on these visits. He'd walk through the house with his hands in his pockets, commenting on the outdated fixtures and deferred maintenance. He'd pull up listings on his phone, senior communities with golf courses and organized dinners and healthcare facilities right on site. "The market's really good right now," he'd say casually. "Houses in this neighborhood are going for a premium, just something to keep in mind." I minded, all right. I minded the way they looked at my home like it was an investment portfolio instead of the place where I'd held my dying wife's hand. I minded the way Emma had started calling it, the property, instead of the house. But they were my daughter and her husband. They visited. They called. They seemed to care. So I told myself I was being paranoid, that I was just a stubborn old man who couldn't see his own limitations. I should have trusted my instincts. I'd gone to visit Michael for a week. He lives in Colorado now, teaches high school history, has 2 kids of his own. It was spring break, and he'd been asking me to come out, said the grandkids wanted to show me the mountains. Emma insisted on driving me to the airport. "I'll check on the house while you're gone," she said, hugging me goodbye. "Make sure everything's okay." I remember feeling grateful, feeling lucky that my daughter cared enough to watch over things while I was away. 7 days later, I came home to find my life dismantled. The plane landed at 3 in the afternoon. Michael had offered to come with me to extend his stay, but I'd said no. I was fine. I'd taken care of myself for 70 years. I could certainly manage a ride home from the airport. I took a cab. The driver was a young man who tried to make small talk about baseball. I wasn't listening. I was thinking about sleeping in my own bed, making coffee in Maria's kitchen, sitting on the porch and watching the evening settle over the neighborhood I'd known for nearly 4 decades. We turned onto my street, and something was wrong. I felt it before I saw it, a tightness in my chest, an instinct that makes the hair on your arms stand up. The for sale sign that had never been there was gone. In its place were vehicles I didn't recognize. A moving truck, a car with a dealership logo on the side. "You sure this is the right address?" the driver asked. I couldn't speak. I just nodded and handed him money, too much. I didn't care, and got out of that cab on legs that felt like water. The front door was open. My front door. Men in work clothes were carrying furniture, my furniture, out to the truck. Maria's reading chair, the dining room table, the grandfather clock that had stopped ticking. "Excuse me," I managed to say. My voice sounded strange, distant. "What's happening here?" One of the movers looked at me, then at his clipboard. "Moving day, you with the new owners?" "I am the owner." His face changed. "Oh, you're Mr. Henderson." "Yes." "We were told. I mean, the closing was yesterday. We're just here to clear the place out for the new residents. They're doing renovations. Want to start fresh." The world tilted. Closing. Yesterday. While I was in Colorado, watching my grandchildren play in their backyard. "There must be some mistake," I said, but even as I spoke, I knew there wasn't. The pieces were falling into place, each one sharp and heavy as stone. I walked past the mover into my house, except it wasn't my house anymore, was it? The walls were bare. Boxes were stacked everywhere, labeled in handwriting I didn't recognize. The kitchen was empty. Maria's east-facing windows looked out at the same morning sun, but the room where she'd stood 1,000 times was hollow now, stripped of everything that had made it hers. My phone was in my pocket. My hands were shaking as I pulled it out, as I found Emma's number as I pressed call. She answered on the third ring. "Dad, you're back. How was your flight?" "Emma," my voice cracked. I cleared my throat. "Emma, what did you do?" Silence, long enough that I thought the call had dropped. "Dad, I can explain." "What did you do?" "We were going to tell you, we were, but you would have said no, and we needed to act quickly. The market was right. There was a buyer who didn't need financing, and, Dad, it's for your own good. We found you a beautiful place at Riverside Meadows. It's all arranged. You'll have your own apartment, and you sold my house." "It's not like that." "While I was gone. You sold my house while I was visiting your brother. You sold the house your mother and I built together. You sold it without asking me, without telling me." "Dad, please just listen." "Did you cash the check yet, Emma?" Another silence. "What?" "The money from the sale. Did you get it yet?" No, it's in escrow for a few more days, but what does that?" I hung up. A woman appeared in the doorway, mid-40s, wearing a business suit, holding a leather portfolio. She smiled at me with the kind of professional sympathy that doesn't reach the eyes. "Mr. Henderson, I'm Rebecca Torres, the realtor who handled the sale. Your daughter explained the situation. I know this transition must be difficult, but I want you to know that everyone involved just wants what's best for you." What's best for me, for my own good. Those words were acid in my ears. "Where are my things?" I asked quietly. "Everything's being moved to a storage unit your daughter arranged. Here's the information." She handed me a card. "And she left this for you, your new address, move-in instructions, all the details about your apartment." An envelope, my name on it in Emma's handwriting. I took it, I didn't open it. "I need a moment," I said. "Alone in my house for just a moment." Rebecca Torres glanced at her watch, then nodded. "Of course, take your time." She left. The movers were outside, taking a break, smoking cigarettes by their truck. I stood in the empty living room where Maria and I had danced on our anniversary, where we'd opened Christmas presents with our children, where she'd taken her last breath with me holding her hand. The grandfather clock was still in the corner. They hadn't packed it yet. I walked over to it, opened the glass face, stopped the pendulum. The silence that followed was the loudest sound I'd ever heard. I didn't go to Riverside Meadows. I got a room at a motel instead, a clean, forgettable place near the highway where nobody knew me and nobody asked questions. The storage unit address was in my pocket. I couldn't bring myself to go there yet, to see my life packed into cardboard boxes with labels written by strangers' hands. Instead, I sat on the edge of that motel bed and I let myself feel it, all of it, the betrayal, the grief, the stunning, breathtaking audacity of what my daughter had done. She'd taken my home, not just the building but the sanctuary I'd made with my wife, the place where Maria's presence still lingered in every corner, every floorboard, every morning light through those east-facing windows. For my own good. I've heard those words before. They're what people say when they're doing something terrible, and they need to convince themselves they're being kind. My phone rang 16 times that first night. Emma, then Ryan, then Emma again. I didn't answer. On the 17th call, I turned the phone off. I couldn't sleep. I lay in that anonymous motel room bed and I stared at the ceiling and I thought about the life I'd built, the promises I'd made, the man I'd tried to be. I'd worked for 42 years at the same manufacturing plant, started on the floor, worked my way up to supervisor, retired with a modest pension and my dignity intact. I'd never been rich, but I'd provided. I'd been faithful to my wife through 37 years of marriage. I'd raised my children to be honest, to work hard, to respect the things that matter. And somewhere along the way, I'd failed. Because my daughter had looked at everything Maria and I built together and seen nothing but real estate. She'd seen dollar signs where there should have been memories. I got out of bed around 3 in the morning. There was a desk in the corner with a lamp and a notepad with the motel's logo on it. I turned on the lamp and I started writing. Not to Emma, not yet, but to Maria. I wrote about the house, about the morning I'd come home to find it taken from me, about sitting in our empty living room, stopping the clock, feeling like I was losing her all over again. I wrote until my hand cramped, until the sky started to lighten outside the motel window, until the words ran out and all I had left was the ache. The sun rose. I made instant coffee with the machine in the room. It tasted like water and regret, but it was hot and it gave me something to hold. My phone was still off. I turned it on. 43 missed calls, 27 text messages. I didn't read them. Instead, I pulled up a different number, one I hadn't called in years but one I'd never deleted. Thomas Brennan answered on the second ring. "Henderson, is that really you?" "Hello, Tom. Good Lord, it's been what, 5 years? How are you? How's the family?" Tom had been the lawyer who helped Maria and me with our will, with the deed to the house, with all the legal details of building a life together. He'd retired around the same time I did, but I knew he still consulted occasionally. Tom, I need to ask you something about the house. The one you and Maria built, what about it? Do you remember the deed, the specifics of how we set it up? A pause, I'd have to pull the files. Why, what's going on? I told him everything, the trip to Colorado, coming home to find my life packed in boxes, Emma's phone call, the realtor with her professional sympathy. When I finished, Tom was quiet for a long time. She sold it without your consent. She had power of attorney, medical power of attorney, but apparently that was enough, or she convinced someone it was enough. Jesus Henderson, I'm sorry. That's unconscionable. Tom, the deed. Tell me about the deed. What do you mean? You set it up. You and Maria and me, we went through everything. I remember you talking about protections, about making sure. I need to know exactly what's in that deed. I heard papers rustling, a long silence. Then, give me an hour, I'll call you back. He called me back in 45 minutes. Henderson, I need you to sit down. I'm sitting. When you and Maria set up the deed, she was very specific about wanting to protect you. She'd seen what happened with her parents. Her father died. Her mother sold the house almost immediately, moved in with relatives, never had a stable home again. Maria didn't want that for you. I remember. So we put in a clause, a life estate. Do you know what that means? Refresh my memory. It means you have the legal right to live in that house for the remainder of your life, even if ownership transfers, and technically, with you as the primary owner, it couldn't transfer without your explicit consent. You retain the right of occupancy. My heart was pounding, but Emma sold it. Then Emma broke the law. More specifically, she committed fraud. And whoever bought it, if they were told you consented to the sale, if they weren't informed about the life estate, they bought a property with a massive title issue. Tom, she has power of attorney. Medical, not financial. There's a difference, and it's not a small one. Medical power of attorney lets her make healthcare decisions if you're incapacitated. It doesn't give her the right to sell your assets. The motel room felt smaller, brighter. So what does this mean? It means you can fight this. It means you can sue to reverse the sale, sue your daughter for fraud and breach of fiduciary duty, sue the realtor and the buyers for. Henderson, you could tie this up in court for years, and you'd probably win. I closed my eyes. Years in court, lawyers, depositions. My daughter's face on the other side of a courtroom, her husband beside her, both of them defensive and angry and convinced they'd done the right thing. Or, Tom continued, we could use this differently. How? The money from the sale, it's in escrow, you said. For a few more days. Here's what that life estate means. Even if the sale goes through, even if ownership technically transfers, the proceeds can't be released without your consent. You're still listed as the primary beneficiary on the deed. They'd need your signature to access those funds. And if I don't sign, then the money sits in escrow indefinitely, or until you die, at which point it would pass to your heirs according to your will. I thought about Emma waiting for that money, planning for it, counting on it, already seeing it in her bank account, solving whatever problems she and Ryan had convinced themselves it would solve. Tom, I need to come see you. Today, can you make time? For this, Henderson, I'll make all the time you need. Tom's office was in the same building it had always been, a modest suite on the second floor of a downtown building that had seen better days. The elevator still groaned when it moved. The hallway still smelled like old carpet and burnt coffee. But Tom himself looked good. Retired life agreed with him. He was tanned, relaxed, wearing a golf shirt instead of a suit. Henderson, he said, shaking my hand, you look tired. I am tired. Come on back. I've got the files pulled. We have a lot to talk about. His office was exactly as I remembered. Walls lined with law books, a desk covered in organized chaos, photos of his grandchildren on the credenza. He gestured me into a chair and sat down across from me. "First things first," he said. "Are you okay? I mean really okay? Do you have a place to stay? Do you need money?" "I'm at a motel, and I have my pension, my savings. I'm fine, materially speaking." "And otherwise?" I met his eyes. "My daughter sold the house I built with my dying wife. How do you think I am?" He nodded slowly. "Fair point. Okay, let's talk about your options. Legally, you're in a strong position. We can fight this 6 ways from Sunday. But you said we could use it differently. Tell me about that." Tom leaned back in his chair. "The life estate means you control the proceeds. Emma can't touch that money without you. Now you could make her life hell with it, let it sit in escrow forever, let her twist in the wind. That's revenge, and honestly, I wouldn't blame you. But, but there might be a better way. A way that teaches her something instead of just punishing her." I thought about Emma as a little girl, how she'd follow Maria around the garden, imitating her mother's gestures, learning to care for growing things. How she'd cry when she hurt someone's feelings, genuinely devastated that she'd caused pain. Where had that girl gone? When had she become someone who could take her father's home and call it kindness? "Maria and I have a will," I said. "Everything was supposed to go to the kids equally. The house, the savings, the life insurance." "Was past tense. You want to change it." I stopped, took a breath. "Tom, I've been thinking all night about what matters, about what I want to leave behind." "Go on." "Maria had a dream. Before she died, when she knew she was dying, she talked about what she wished she could do if she had more time. She wanted to help people. Families who were struggling, who were losing their homes, who needed a hand up. She'd volunteer at the community center sometimes, saw all these families teetering on the edge, and it broke her heart." Tom was listening, his lawyer face on, taking it all in. "What if," I said slowly, "what if I took the money from the house sale, my money, since it can't be released without my permission? And what if I took my savings, my life insurance, everything? And I created something in Maria's name, something that would help families like the one she wanted to help? A foundation." "Yes. And your children." "Emma has made it clear what she values. She wanted the house for its financial worth. She'll get exactly what she wanted from it, nothing. Michael. Michael has his own life. He's doing well. He doesn't need my money." Tom was quiet for a moment. Then, "Henderson, I'm going to ask you something, and I need you to really think about it. Are you doing this out of love for your wife's dream, or are you doing it out of anger at your daughter?" I sat with that question, let it settle, examined it honestly. "Both," I finally said, "and I'm okay with that. Maria wanted to help people. That's real. That's true. And Emma needs to learn that some things are more valuable than their price tag. Maybe this is the only way she'll learn it." Tom picked up a pen. "Okay then, let's talk about how to make this happen." We spent the next 3 hours going through everything. The foundation structure, the mission statement, the funding, the house proceeds, my savings, the life insurance policy that would pay out when I died. It would all go into the Maria Henderson Home Fund, dedicated to helping families on the brink of losing their housing. "We'll need to notify Emma that you're not signing off on the escrow release," Tom said, "and we'll need to explain why." "I want to tell her myself." "You sure? That's going to be a difficult conversation." "I'm sure, but not in person, and not on the phone. I want to write it down. Make sure I say exactly what I mean. A letter, a video, something she can watch, something she'll have to sit with, the way I've sat with what she did." Tom nodded. "I can arrange that. We'll film it here, make it official, part of the legal record. When do you want to do it?" "Now," I said, "before I lose my nerve." Tom set up a camera in his conference room. Just a simple webcam on a tripod, but it felt enormous, like a spotlight trained on my face. Take your time, he said. Say what you need to say. We can do as many takes as necessary. But I only needed one. I sat in that conference room chair, looked at that camera lens, and I spoke to my daughter. Emma, by the time you see this, you'll have tried to access the money from the house sale, and you'll have been told that you can't, that you need my signature. I want to explain why you'll never get it. When your mother and I bought that land in 1987, we had a dream. We were going to build a home, not just a house, but a home, where we could raise our family and grow old together. Your mother designed that kitchen. I laid every floorboard in that living room. We planted that oak tree the year your brother was born. It took us 2 years to build that house, 2 years of our hands and our backs and our hope, and when it was finished, it was ours. Not in the way a car is yours or a television is yours, but in the way that something becomes part of you. That house held our history, our marriage, our children's childhoods, your mother's last days. When she was dying, she made me promise not to sell it. She wanted me to stay there, surrounded by the life we'd built. She wanted you and Michael to always have a place to come home to, a place where she'd always be present in the walls and the light and the memories. I kept that promise for 12 years, and then you broke it for me. You told me it was for my own good. You said I couldn't manage the house anymore, that I'd be better off somewhere else. But that wasn't true, was it? You wanted the money. You saw that house as an asset to be liquidated. You saw my home as your inheritance, and you couldn't wait for me to die to get it. So you took it while I was visiting your brother. You sold it behind my back. You called it kindness. But here's what you didn't know, Emma. Your mother was smarter than both of us. She set up that deed with protections. Protections to make sure I couldn't be forced out of my home. Protections that mean I control what happens with the proceeds from any sale. The money from the house, it's not going to you. It's not going into your bank account. It's not going to pay for whatever life you and Ryan think you deserve. Instead, I'm putting it into a foundation in your mother's name, the Maria Henderson Home Fund. It's going to help families who are about to lose their homes, families who are struggling the way we struggled when we first started out, families who understand that a home is more than wood and nails. Every family this foundation helps, every child who gets to stay in their home because of your mother's generosity will carry her name forward, not yours, hers. You took my house, Emma, but I built you a home. I raised you in love and sacrifice and the values your mother and I lived by. You just never learned to live in it. Maybe now you'll understand what you lost. Not the money, not the property, but the lesson your mother spent her whole life trying to teach you, that some things are more valuable than their price tag. I don't know if we'll talk again. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. But I want you to know that I loved you enough to teach you this, even when it hurt, even when it cost me everything. That house was where your mother lived. This foundation is where she'll live on. I hope someday you'll see the difference. I stopped. The camera kept recording. Tom stepped forward and turned it off. That's good, Henderson. That's really good. My hands were shaking. My throat was tight. When does she see it? The escrow period ends in 4 days. When she tries to access the funds, when she's told she needs your signature, my office will send her this video along with the legal documents establishing the foundation. And then you've said your piece. You've done what you needed to do. The rest is up to her. I stood up. My legs felt weak. Thank you, Tom. Don't thank me. You did this yourself. He paused. For what it's worth, I think Maria would be proud. I found a small apartment to rent. Nothing fancy, a one-bedroom place on the second floor of an old building near the university. It had hardwood floors and a window that faced east, catching the morning sun. I went to the storage unit and retrieved my things. Not everything. The movers had packed up the whole house, and much of it I didn't want anymore. But I got Maria's reading chair, the photograph albums, her gardening tools, which I kept even though I didn't have a garden, the the grandfather clock. I set up that apartment slowly, carefully, put Maria's chair by the window, hung photos on the walls, wound the clock and set it ticking again. It wasn't home, but it was a place to start. I still hadn't spoken to Emma. She'd stopped calling after the first few days, but the text messages continued. At first they were frantic, "Dad, please call me. We need to talk. I'm so sorry." Then they turned angry, "You're being unreasonable. We were trying to help you. How can you do this to us?" Then they stopped altogether. Michael called. He'd heard from Emma, gotten some version of events I could only imagine. "Dad," he said, "I don't know what to say." "You don't have to say anything. Emma told me what she did. I can't believe. I mean, I know she can be controlling sometimes, but this is beyond anything I thought she was capable of. Your sister thought she was helping me. By stealing your house. By solving what she saw as a problem. I was a problem to be managed, and she managed me. That's messed up, Dad." "Yes," I agreed, "it is. She's also telling everyone you're cutting her out of your will completely, that you're giving everything away to some charity. Not some charity, a foundation in your mother's name." Silence. "Then, Mom would love that." "I hope so." "What about me?" Michael asked quietly. "Am I cut out too?" "No, when I die, you'll inherit whatever I have left. It won't be much, but you've never asked for much. I don't need money, Dad. I just need to know you're okay." "I'm getting there." We talked for a while longer, about his kids, about his teaching, about life in Colorado. It felt normal, good, like talking to someone who still saw me as a person instead of a problem. After we hung up, I sat in Maria's chair and looked out that east-facing window and thought about what came next. 4 days after I filmed that video, Tom called me. "Emma tried to access the funds this morning." My heart jumped, and she was denied. My office sent her the video and the legal documents. She should have them by now. I looked at my phone. No calls, no messages. How long do you think before she responds? Hard to say. Everyone processes this kind of thing differently. She might call in an hour. She might never call. "Yeah," I said. "Yeah, I know." But 3 hours later my phone rang. Emma's name on the screen. I answered. "Dad," her voice was thick, rough with crying. "Emma." I watched the video. "Okay. How could you do this?" I could ask you the same question. "We were trying to help you. You're old, you're alone. That house was falling apart around you. That house was mine. The roof needed replacing. The furnace was ancient. You couldn't keep up with it. So you sold it without asking me, without even telling me. Because you would have said no. You'd have stayed there until you died, alone in that huge place, probably getting hurt on those stairs or forgetting to eat or—" Emma stopped. She stopped. I wasn't forgetting to eat. I wasn't falling downstairs. I was living my life in the home your mother and I built together. Yes, I'm old. Yes, I'm alone, but I was managing. I was okay. You weren't okay. You were stuck in the past, living in a shrine to Mom, refusing to move forward. Is that what you told yourself, that I was stuck? Yes, God, Dad, yes. You wouldn't date. You wouldn't even consider moving somewhere easier. You just sat in that house day after day like you were waiting to die. Her words hung in the air between us. "Maybe I was," I said quietly. "Maybe I was waiting, in the place where I was happiest, in the place where your mother's memory was strongest. Is that so terrible?" "Yes," she was crying fully now. "Yes, it is, because we need you. Ryan and I, we need you, and you've just been gone, physically there but gone, and that house was worth enough that we could. We could." "Could what, Emma?" "Solve our problems," she whispered. "We have debt. Ryan made some bad investments. We're not doing well, and I thought if we could just get you into assisted living and sell the house, we could fix things and take care of you and everything would be okay." There it was. the truth underneath all the justifications. So it was about the money. Not just the money, not only the money, but yes, we needed it. And I thought you'd never sell, never give us access to it, so I did what I had to do. You committed fraud, Emma. You took my house illegally. You could be prosecuted. Are you going to prosecute me? I thought about it, really thought about it. My daughter in a courtroom, her life destroyed, her marriage probably ended, all because she'd made a terrible decision born from desperation and selfishness, and a fundamental misunderstanding of what mattered. No, I said, I'm not. Then why did you do this? Why create that foundation? Why take away everything we were counting on? Because you needed to learn something. Something your mother tried to teach you your whole life. That people are more important than money. That homes are built from love, not square footage and real estate prices. That some inheritances can't be measured in dollars. That's easy for you to say. You're not the one drowning in debt. You're not the one whose husband made stupid decisions and now we might lose our apartment. And selling my house would have fixed that. For how long, Emma? A year? 2. What happens when that money runs out and you and Ryan still haven't learned to live within your means? She was silent. Your mother's foundation will help families who are trying, who are working and struggling and just need a hand, not families who want to liquidate their elderly father's assets to cover their poor choices. You don't understand. I understand perfectly. You saw me as a bank. You saw the house your mother and I built as your emergency fund. And when I didn't give you access to it fast enough, you took it. I thought I was helping you too. Did you, really? Or is that just what you told yourself so you could sleep at night? No answer. Emma, I want you to really think about something. When you picture that house, what do you see? What? Close your eyes, picture the house, tell me what you see. A long pause. I see the living room, the kitchen, the yard. And what's in them? Furniture, appliances, the old deck that needed replacing. That's what I thought. When I picture that house, Emma, I see your mother teaching you to make cookies in that kitchen. I see you and Michael playing in that yard. I see 1,000 Sunday dinners and birthday parties and Christmas mornings. I see your mother's face in the morning light through those windows she designed. Every room is full of people and moments and love. When you look at it, you see real estate. That's the difference between us. That's not fair, isn't it? Emma, answer me honestly. When was the last time you visited me just to visit? Not to talk about the house, not to bring up senior communities, just to sit with your father and talk. The silence stretched out. I thought so, I said softly. I'm sorry, her voice broke. Dad, I'm so sorry, I thought. I thought I was doing the right thing. I thought I was being practical and smart and taking care of things before they became a crisis. I know you did, but you were wrong. So what happens now? Do I ever see you again? Do we just stop being family? I looked out my window at the morning sun, the same sun that used to come through Maria's kitchen windows. I don't know, Emma. That's up to you. You need to figure out who you want to be. Whether you want to be someone who sees people as problems to be managed and assets to be liquidated, or whether you want to be someone who understands what your mother understood. Which was what? That love isn't convenient. That family isn't transactional. That the things worth having are the things you build with your hands and your heart, not the things you inherit or steal. She was crying again. I miss her so much, Dad. I miss Mom so much and I didn't know how to tell you, and everything's been falling apart and I just wanted to fix it. By taking away the last piece of her I had left. I know, and I hate myself for it. What do I do? How do I fix this? You can't fix it, Emma. That house is gone. That money is gone. Your mother's foundation will do good work with it, will help people who need it. But you and I, that's not something you can fix with an apology. So what then? So you live with it. You learn from it. You figure out whether you're going to let this define you or whether you're going to become someone different, someone better. And you. I'm going to honor your mother's memory. I'm going to make sure her dream lives on, and I'm going to try to forgive you. Not today, maybe not for a long time, but eventually. Can I call you sometimes? I thought about it. Not yet. Give me time, Emma. Give us both time. Okay, she whispered. Okay. We sat there in silence, connected by phone lines and blood, and a history that felt both precious and poisoned. Dad, I really am sorry for what it's worth. I know you are. That's the only reason we're still talking. I hung up. The Maria Henderson Home Fund was officially established 6 weeks later. Tom handled all the legal work. The house sale proceeds, my savings, the life insurance designation, all of it went into an endowment that would help families stay in their homes. The first family we helped was the Johnsons. Marcus Johnson was a veteran who'd been injured in Afghanistan, and his wife Sarah worked 2 jobs trying to keep up with their mortgage while caring for their 3 kids and Marcus through his recovery. They were 6 months behind on payments, facing foreclosure. The foundation paid their arrears and gave them 6 months of mortgage relief while Marcus finished physical therapy and got back to work. It wasn't charity, it was a bridge, a hand up. I met them at Tom's office when they came to sign the paperwork. Sarah cried. Marcus shook my hand with a grip that was still weak, but getting stronger. You don't know what this means, Sarah said. Our kids, they love that house. It's the only home they've ever known. The idea of having to tell them we lost it. I know exactly what it means, I told her. My wife and I built our home with our own hands. We raised our family there. I understand what you're fighting for. Why us? Marcus asked. Why help us? Because my wife believed in second chances, in helping people who are trying. You're both working hard, doing everything right, just got knocked down by circumstances outside your control. That's who this fund is for. They thanked me at least a dozen times before they left. I watched them walk to their car, Sarah's arm around Marcus's waist, both of them lighter somehow, the weight of impending loss lifted from their shoulders. That's one, Tom said beside me. One family saved, one home preserved, one set of kids who won't have to leave the only place they've ever felt safe. Maria would be proud. I hope so. Over the next months, the foundation helped 9 more families. A single mother whose teaching salary wasn't enough after her ex-husband stopped paying child support. An elderly couple facing foreclosure after the husband's cancer treatment wiped out their savings. A young family whose breadwinner lost his job when his company downsized. Each one was a story. Each one was a home. Each one was Maria's dream made real. I volunteered at the community center where Maria used to volunteer. I helped serve meals, tutored kids in math, listened to people's stories. It felt good, purposeful, like I was building something again, even if it was smaller and different than the house I'd lost. Michael called every week. He sent pictures of his kids, told me about his students, invited me to visit again. Come for Thanksgiving, he said. The kids want to see Grandpa, and honestly, so do I. I went. Colorado was beautiful in November, the mountains already dusted with early snow. Michael's house was warm and full of noise and laughter. His kids tackled me at the door, dragged me off to show me their latest projects and discoveries. We ate turkey and stuffing and pie. We played board games. Michael and I stayed up late talking while his wife put the kids to bed, and he asked me the question I'd been waiting for. Have you heard from Emma? No, you. She calls sometimes. She's struggling. She and Ryan are in marriage counseling. They sold their car, moved to a cheaper apartment. She asked about you. What did you tell her? That you're doing okay. That you're volunteering, helping people, living your life. She cried. I absorbed that. She needs to figure herself out. I can't do it for her. I know, but Dad, eventually. I mean, she's still my sister, still your daughter. I know that too. So where does it end? How long do you punish her? I'm not punishing her, Michael. I'm just not ready. Maybe I never will be. What she did, it wasn't a mistake. It wasn't an accident. She made a choice. A deliberate choice to take away something irreplaceable. But she's paying for it. She lost the money, lost her marriage, almost lost you. Hasn't she paid enough? That's not for me to decide. Consequences aren't punishment. They're just consequences. She has to live with what she did. I have to live with what I lost. Maybe someday we'll find a way to be in the same room again, but that day isn't today. Michael nodded slowly. Fair enough. Winter came. My little apartment was cozy, insulated against the cold. I bought a small Christmas tree, decorated it with ornaments Maria and I had collected over the years. I made cookies from her recipes. I called Michael and talked to my grandchildren. On Christmas Eve, I was sitting in Maria's chair, watching snow fall outside my east-facing window, when there was a knock at my door. I wasn't expecting anyone. Michael and his family were in Colorado. Tom was visiting his daughter in Florida. I opened the door. Emma stood in the hallway. She looked thin, tired, older than her 42 years. She was holding a small wrapped package. "Hi, Dad." My first instinct was to close the door. My second was to invite her in. I did neither, just stood there looking at my daughter. "I know you said to give you time," she said. "I know I shouldn't be here, but it's Christmas Eve and I just couldn't not come." "How did you find me?" "Michael, I'm sorry." I begged him. I told him I just wanted to drop something off, that I wouldn't stay, that I'd leave if you asked me to. "Emma, please just let me say something. Then I'll go, I promise." I stepped back. Not quite an invitation, but not a rejection either. She came in slowly, carefully, like she was entering a stranger's home. Her eyes went to Maria's chair by the window, to the photos on the walls, to the grandfather clock ticking steadily in the corner. "You got the clock," she said softly. "I did. It looks good here. Mom would like this place, the morning light." "Yes." She turned to face me, still holding that package. "Dad, I've been going to therapy. Regular therapy, not just marriage counseling. I've been working on understanding why I did what I did, why I thought it was okay." "And what did you learn?" "That I was scared. That after Mom died, I felt like everything was fragile, like I could lose everything at any moment. And I dealt with that fear by trying to control everything, including you. That doesn't make it right." "No, it doesn't, but it helps me understand it, and I'm trying to be different. Ryan and I are still working on things, but we're doing better. We made a budget. We're living within our means. We're paying off our debts slowly. I got a second job." "Good for you." "I've also been volunteering." That surprised me. "Where?" "At a food bank, and at a housing nonprofit that helps people avoid foreclosure. I wanted to. I needed to understand what Mom saw in that work, what you're doing with the foundation." "Emma, I'm not asking for forgiveness. I know I don't deserve it. I'm not asking to be back in your life or in your will or anything like that. I just wanted you to know that I'm trying, that I heard what you said, that I'm learning what you and Mom tried to teach me." She held out the package. "This is for you. Don't open it now. Open it later after I'm gone, okay?" I took it. It was light, small. "Okay. Merry Christmas, Dad." She turned toward the door. I should have let her go. Should have let her walk away, let the consequences stand, maintain the boundary I'd drawn. But she was still my daughter, and it was Christmas Eve. "Emma." She stopped, turned back, hope and fear mixed on her face. "Thank you for telling me about the therapy, the volunteering. It matters." "It does. Yes, it doesn't fix what happened. But it matters." She nodded, blinking back tears. "I miss you, Dad." "I miss you too, but I'm still not ready." I know, I'll wait, however long it takes." She left. I stood at my door and listened to her footsteps fade down the hallway, down the stairs, out into the snowy night. I sat down in Maria's chair with that package in my hands, waited 10 minutes, then I opened it. Inside was a photo, old, faded, in a simple frame. It was from the day we'd moved into the house, Maria and I, young and exhausted and happy, standing in front of the frame of what would become our home. Emma was a little girl in the foreground, maybe 5 years old, holding a toy hammer and grinning at the camera. On the back, in Emma's handwriting, was a note. "I'm sorry I forgot this was a home before it was a house. I'm sorry I saw dollars where I should have seen love. I'm learning, Dad, slowly. I hope someday I can show you how much. Merry Christmas, I love you. Emma." I sat there holding that photo until the room grew dark, until the street lights came on outside, until the snow had covered everything in white. Spring came early that year. By March, the foundation had helped 23 families. By May, 38. Each one was a story that would have ended in loss and ended instead in hope. I got a letter from Sarah Johnson. They'd made their March payment on time. Marcus was back at work, doing well, talking about going back to school. Their oldest daughter had made honor roll. "Thank you doesn't cover it, asterisk," she wrote. "You gave us our home back. You gave us our future back." I folded that letter carefully and put it in the box where I kept all the letters from families the foundation had helped. There were dozens now, each one a testament to what Maria had dreamed of, what she'd wanted to do if she'd had more time. "Look," I told the photo of her on my wall. "Look what we did." Michael called in April. "Dad, Emma wanted me to tell you something." "I'm listening." "She and Ryan are officially back on track. They paid off their debts. They're staying together, going to keep working on things. And Emma, Dad, she quit her second job." "Why?" "Because she got hired at that housing nonprofit, full-time, helping other families avoid what she almost caused for you. She's good at it, apparently, really good." I didn't know what to say. "I think she's changed, Dad, really changed. Not just saying it, but living it." "I'm glad. Would you be willing to see her? Maybe for coffee or something, not to fix everything, just to talk." I looked around my small apartment, at Maria's chair and the morning light, and the life I'd built from the rubble of what I'd lost. "Not yet," I said, "but maybe someday. Tell her. Tell her I'm proud of her for the work she's doing." "You tell her." "Michael." "Dad, I love you, but you're both being stubborn. You're both hurting, and life is short. Mom taught us that. Your mother also taught us about consequences, about values, about standing up for what matters. She also taught us about forgiveness." "I'm working on it." "Work faster." I laughed, couldn't help it. "When did you get so pushy?" "I learned from the best. I've got two parents who are both too stubborn for their own good." After we hung up, I sat in Maria's chair and thought about forgiveness. About whether it was something you decided to do or something that just happened when enough time had passed and enough healing had occurred. I didn't have an answer. The foundation's first anniversary fell on a Saturday in June. Tom organized a small gathering, just the board members we'd assembled, a few of the families we'd helped, some donors who'd heard about the work and wanted to contribute. We met at the community center where Maria used to volunteer. There were speeches, testimonials from families whose homes we'd saved, a presentation about the year's impact, 38 families helped, over $1 million in foreclosures prevented, countless children who got to stay in their schools and neighborhoods. I stood at the back listening, watching, feeling something that wasn't quite pride and wasn't quite peace but was somewhere in between. Marcus Johnson stood up to speak. He was walking without assistance now, back in his uniform for a reserves drill. "My family was 60 days from losing everything," he said. "Our home, our stability, our kids' sense of security. And then Mrs. Henderson's foundation stepped in. Not because we deserved it. Not because we'd earned it, but because someone understood that we were trying and that sometimes trying isn't enough without help. He looked directly at me. "Sir, your wife must have been an extraordinary woman. To dream this dream, to want this for people she'd never meet. And you're an extraordinary man for making it real." People clapped. I felt my throat tighten. After the ceremony, families came up to thank me, to shake my hand, to show me photos of their kids in front of the homes they'd almost lost. Each photo was a small miracle. Each smile was Maria's legacy living on. I was talking to one of the board members when I saw her. Emma, standing at the back of the room, not coming forward, not intruding, just present. Our eyes met across the crowd. She raised one hand in a small wave, not an approach, not a demand, just an acknowledgement. "I'm here, I'm seeing this, I understand." I nodded back. She stayed for another 10 minutes, then left quietly. I found out later from Michael that she'd made a donation to the foundation. Not a large one, she didn't have large to give, but what she could afford. Anonymous, in her mother's name. Summer turned to fall. The foundation helped 15 more families. I kept volunteering at the community center. I visited Michael for a week in August, hiked in the mountains with my grandchildren, taught them to play chess on rainy afternoons. In September, I got a letter, handwritten, Emma's familiar script. "Dear Dad asterisk, I won't ask how you are because I can guess. Busy with the foundation, probably tired but satisfied, hopefully taking care of yourself. Michael says you're doing well. I'm glad. I'm writing because I wanted to tell you about something that happened at work yesterday. We helped a family, a father whose wife died 2 years ago, who's been trying to raise his 3 kids alone while working 2 jobs. He was behind on his mortgage, about to lose the house he and his wife had built their life in. We found him resources, helped him restructure his debt, connected him with community support. He's going to make it." And when he thanked me, when he showed me pictures of his kids in front of their home, when I saw the relief in his eyes, I finally understood. Not just in my head, but in my heart. I understood what home means. What you and Mom had. What I destroyed. I'm not writing to ask for forgiveness. I'm writing to say thank you. For teaching me what I needed to learn. For making sure I learned it in a way that would stick. For turning what I broke into something beautiful. I love you, Dad. I'll wait as long as you need. Emma. I read that letter 3 times. Then I folded it and put it in the box with the letters from the families the foundation had helped. Not because I'd forgiven her, not yet. But because maybe I was getting closer. November came around again. Michael called about Thanksgiving, and this time he asked directly, "Can Emma come? Please, Dad, it's been over a year. The kids miss their aunt. I miss having both of you there. Can we at least try?" I thought about it for a long time. "Yes," I finally said, "but I need you to understand something. I'm doing this for you and for your kids, and because your mother would want me to. Not because everything's fine between Emma and me." I know, thank you, Dad, really. The flight to Colorado felt longer than usual. I was nervous, I realized. Nervous about seeing Emma, about being in the same room with her, about whether we'd have anything to say to each other beyond polite small talk. Michael picked me up from the airport alone. "Emma's already at the house," he explained. "She got in this morning. She's been helping Lisa with the cooking, playing with the kids. Dad, she's different, you'll see." "Different how?" "Humbler, quieter, more present, like she's actually listening instead of just waiting to talk." His house smelled like turkey and stuffing when we walked in. The kids rushed me as always, hugging and chattering and pulling me toward the living room to show me things. And then Emma appeared in the kitchen doorway, wearing an apron, flour on her hands, her hair pulled back. She looked like her mother standing there, and it made my heart hurt. "Hi, Dad," she said softly. "Hello, Emma." An awkward pause. The kids looked between us, sensing something but not understanding what. Okay, Rugrats, Michael said, herding his children away. Let's give Grandpa and Aunt Emma a minute, yeah. They left. Emma and I stood in the hallway, years of hurt and silence between us. I wasn't sure you'd come, she finally said. Michael asked me to. Not me. Would it have made a difference if you had? She considered that. Honestly, probably not. You're here because Michael asked and because it's the right thing to do for his family, not because you've forgiven me. No, I agreed, not because of that. That's fair. She wiped her hands on the apron. I'm just grateful you're here, that's enough for now. The weekend was strange. We were polite, careful. We talked about safe things, the kids, the weather, Michael's work. We avoided talking about the house, the foundation, anything that mattered. But I watched her, watched how she played with Michael's children with genuine attention, watched how she helped Lisa in the kitchen without being asked, watched how she listened when people talked instead of waiting for her turn to speak. Michael was right, she was different. On Saturday afternoon, we ended up alone on the back deck. The kids were napping. Michael and Lisa had run to the store. Emma was reading and I was just sitting, watching the mountains. The foundation helped 72 families this year, I said suddenly. She looked up. I know, I check the website sometimes. You made a donation. Michael told you. The board treasurer did. We try to thank all donors personally. She looked up the name before she realized. I'm sorry, I should have put it under a different name. I didn't mean to make things awkward. Why did you donate? She set down her book. Because it's good work. Because Mom would have loved it. Because I wanted to contribute to something that mattered, even if I couldn't contribute much. You do good work too, at the nonprofit. Michael told you about that. He did. It's the first job I've ever had that feels like it means something, like I'm helping instead of just existing. We sat in silence for a while. I dream about the house sometimes, Emma said quietly. I walk through it in my dreams and everything's the way it was. Mom's in the kitchen. You're in your workshop. I'm young again and everything's simple and safe. And then I wake up and remember what I did. Emma, I know you're not ready to forgive me. Maybe you never will be, but I need you to know that I understand now. What I took from you, what I destroyed, I carry that every day. Good, I said. She flinched. I don't mean that cruelly, I continued. But yes, you should carry it, not as punishment but as a reminder of who you were and who you don't want to be again. I'm trying to be better. I can see that. Is it enough? Will it ever be enough? I thought about Maria, about what she would say if she were here, about the woman who'd believed in second chances and helping people who were trying. I don't know, I answered honestly, but it's a start. Christmas came. This time Emma called and asked if she could visit. Just for an hour, she said. I won't stay long, I'd like to see you if that's okay. Okay, I said. She came on Christmas morning, brought cinnamon rolls from the bakery Maria used to love. We sat in my small apartment and drank coffee and ate pastry and talked. Really talked. She told me about her work, about a family she'd helped just before the holiday, a widow with 2 kids who'd been 3 weeks from foreclosure. They'd found her resources, restructured her payments, got her connected with job training. She cried in my office for 20 minutes, Emma said, just sobbed with relief. And I understood, finally, what you and Mom saw in this kind of work. I told her about the foundation's plans for the next year, about the expansion we were considering, about the families waiting for help. We got a letter last week, I said, from a little girl whose family we helped last spring. She drew a picture of her house with her whole family standing in front of it. Wrote thank you for not making us leave at the bottom. That must feel good. It does. It feels like your mother's dream living on, like she's still here, still helping people. Emma's eyes filled with tears. I miss her so much, Dad. I know I do too. I wish I could tell her I'm sorry, for not understanding what she tried to teach me, for not seeing what mattered. She knew you loved her. But did she know I heard her? Did she know I'd eventually get it? I thought about Maria in her final days, about the conversations we'd had, the wisdom she'd shared, the hopes she'd expressed for our children. Yes, I said, she knew, she had faith in you, even when you didn't deserve it. Emma cried then, really cried, and I let her. When she'd composed herself, she asked, "Do you have faith in me, Dad?" "I'm starting to." "Starting to is enough." She smiled through her tears. "Starting to is more than enough." She left after an hour like she'd promised, but before she went she hugged me, quick and careful, like she was afraid I'd push her away. I didn't push her away. Spring came again. The Foundation's second anniversary, another gathering at the community center. This time, over 100 families had been helped. The board was talking about expansion, about hearing staff, about turning Maria's dream into something even bigger. I was 72 now, feeling my age, thinking about the future, about what would happen to the foundation when I was gone, about legacy and meaning and what we leave behind. Tom pulled me aside during the reception. "Henderson, we should talk about succession planning. You're not going anywhere soon, but we need to think about the foundation's leadership long term." "I know. Have you thought about who might take over eventually?" I've been thinking about it for months. "Yes," I said, "but I want to talk to someone first." I called Emma that evening. "Dad, is everything okay?" "Yes, I have something I want to discuss with you. Could you come by this weekend?" "Of course, Saturday." "Saturday's fine." She arrived with flowers, daisies, Maria's favorite. "I thought we could put these by Mom's picture," she said. We arranged them together in a vase I'd kept from the old house, stood back and looked at Maria's photo, surrounded by bright blooms. "They look good," Emma said. "They do." We sat down. I'd made tea, not as good as Maria used to make, but decent. "I've been thinking about the foundation," I started, "about its future, about what happens when I'm not here to run it anymore." Emma's face went very still. "Dad, let me finish. I'm not dying, I'm fine, but I'm 72 and I need to plan ahead. The foundation needs leadership that will continue Maria's vision, someone who understands what it's for, what it means." "Okay. I've been thinking about asking you." The teacup she was holding trembled. She set it down carefully. "You want me to run Mom's foundation?" "Not now, not yet, but eventually, yes. To work with the board, learn the operation, prepare to take it over when I can't do it anymore." "Dad, after what I did, how could you trust me with this?" "Because you've changed. Because you understand now what you didn't understand then. Because you're doing the work, living the values, making different choices." "What if I mess it up? What if I—" "You won't. You'll make mistakes, sure. Everyone does. But you'll make them from a place of understanding now, not from a place of seeing people as problems or assets." She was crying again. "I don't deserve this." "Maybe not, but your mother would want it. She always believed in second chances, in people's ability to grow and change, and I'm starting to believe in it too." "Starting to?" "More than starting. Emma, I see what you've become, what you're becoming. I see your mother in you now, not just her face but her heart." She stood up, walked to the window, stood there with her back to me, shoulders shaking. "I spent a year hating myself," she said finally, "hating what I'd done to you, hating who I'd become, and now you're offering me this, the thing that meant everything to Mom." "Yes." "Why?" "Because forgiveness isn't just letting go of anger, it's trusting someone to be different, and I trust you now." She turned around. Her face was wet with tears, but she was smiling. "You forgive me." "I'm getting there, maybe not all the way yet, but close enough." "That's enough," she whispered. "That's more than enough." 3 months later, Emma started working with the foundation. Part-time at first, learning the systems, meeting the board, understanding the operations. She was good at it. Patient with families, thorough with paperwork, passionate about the mission. I watched her handle a case in July, a single father of 3 who'd lost his job and was behind on rent. Emma sat with him for 2 hours, going through his finances, finding resources, putting together a plan. She was kind but practical, empathetic but clear-eyed. "You're going to make it," she told him. "It won't be easy, but you're going to keep your home. Your kids are going to be okay." He thanked her with tears in his eyes. Afterward, Emma found me in the office kitchen. "How did I do?" "Your mother would be proud." "Yeah, yeah." She smiled, and in that smile I saw the little girl who used to help Maria in the garden, who used to follow her around the house, learning how to care for growing things. My daughter was growing again, becoming someone new, someone better. It's been 2 years now since Emma sold my house. 26 months since I stood in that empty living room and stopped the clock and felt my world end. The house is gone, renovated beyond recognition by its new owners. I drove by it once just to see. Couldn't even recognize the place Maria and I built. It hurt less than I expected. Because home isn't a building, it's not wood and nails and east-facing windows. Home is what you carry with you, the love you've known, the values you live by, the legacy you leave behind. Maria's legacy is 72 families who still have their homes. It's my daughter learning to see people instead of problems. It's my son raising his children with the values we taught him. It's me, in this small apartment with morning light through the window, still building something even as my body grows older and slower. Emma comes by for dinner once a week now. We cook together sometimes Maria's recipes. We talk about the foundation, about her work, about life. Sometimes we talk about the house, about what happened, about the journey from there to here. "Do you still dream about it?" she asked me last week. "Sometimes, less now." "Me too, less now." We were quiet for a moment, stirring sauce, the kitchen warm with steam and memory. "Dad," she said, "thank you." "For what?" "For not giving up on me, for believing I could change, for trusting me with Mom's dream." "You earned it." "Maybe, but you had to let me." She was right about that. They say revenge is a dish best served cold, but what I gave my daughter wasn't revenge. It was a lesson, the kind that burns hot at first, then settles into something that changes you from the inside out. She thought she'd taken everything from me, the house, the memories, the physical place where Maria and I had built our life. But she couldn't take what really mattered. She couldn't take the love Maria and I shared. She couldn't take the values we'd lived by. She couldn't take the man I'd become through 50 years of building things with my hands and my heart. And in the end, what I left her with wasn't punishment. It was inheritance. Not the kind measured in dollars, but the kind that lasts generations. I left her with understanding, with purpose, with the chance to become someone worthy of her mother's name. Some houses are built of bricks, some are built of lessons, and some, the ones that matter most, are built of forgiveness and second chances and the slow, painful work of becoming better than we were. I've finally found mine. And so has my daughter.